Audible Inc. presents The Savage Way, Successfully Navigating the Waves of Business and Life, written by Frank Savage, narrated by George Washington III. Forward. Frank Savage. Yes, sir. Did I tell you that Frank is a generous man? To know Frank Savage is a good thing because Frank is a man who has some credit cards. Ha, Suki. When Frank calls and says, "Let's go out to dinner, let's do something," I know I don't have to bring my credit cards. One of the greatest men on the face of this earth, a long and very dear friend of mine, and I better keep his name to myself if I want to keep it that way, taught me the trick. Yes, don't bring your credit cards, but also make sure you have good posture. You don't slink away. Understand? No, sir. But time and decades of experience have taught me another golden part of that formula. Make sure my man Frank Savage is there. Not only is he generous, Frank Savage is the kind of man who has a deep respect for how things are supposed to be done. He has great respect for his race and his culture. He would be embarrassed to be in a fine restaurant, these two men, Frank Savage and Bill Cosby, sitting there when the check arrives, and neither one of us has credit cards to pay for the meal after running up a great bill. That sort of just leaving things to fate, is not the Frank Savage way. It hasn't been the way the man has lived his life and made himself into such a first-class success. Before Frank shared this book with me, he told me all about what he had planned to write in it. He told me at dinners and business meetings how he wanted this memoir to inspire every reader, young and not so young, like Frank, to find what is best in them. He said he wanted them to be inspired to reach higher than they ever thought they could. Stretch for excellence, no matter what color you are or where you're from. And that's more true, he says to me, for people not born with a famous name tacked on the back of theirs or a leg up in the race to the top. When Frank asked me if I would write this forward, I was thinking I could write a sketch of the man and try not to give too much away, so you can have almost as much fun as I have had getting to know Frank Savage. Then there it was. This forward popped into my brain. It was written and ready to go. This thing has made a home in my head and was just waiting for Frank to finish his book so it could hop on these pages. There is so much of Frank's story here. We see how his teenage mother got on a train leaving her home in North Carolina and headed for a better life in Washington, D.C. She got on that train with her infant twins, Frank and Francis, and just 2 bottles of milk. When she got to D.C., the milk was spoiled, but hey, her children weren't. Frank shows us how this mother, a master chef of a beautician, reinvented herself into a kind of D.C. business legend, Madame La Sauvage. Everybody called her that, even little Frank and his sister. Then we see Frank getting his education, going to Howard University and Johns Hopkins University, and how his world goes international. Before anybody can say Saudi Arabia, Frank and his young family are living there as he sinks his teeth into global finance as a young African-American banker. Then he's in Africa, where he always dreamed of working. And then he's back in America, raising money to help black businesses get a start. Has anyone heard of Essence Magazine? Hello? My man Frank was there to help finance the single largest and most influential black woman's magazine in history. And then he's back to Africa, fighting apartheid in South Africa with smart money and a daring plan to use it. Then Frank Savage went on to travel the world, raising millions of dollars in one place and I think even billions in another as an international financial wizard, a major player with a pocket of shiny credit cards, an office in Japan, meeting and holding high finance dinners in Switzerland. Once, Frank told me that there is no real secret to his life. He says he conducts his life and business the same way he sails and races his beautiful sailboats, all of them named for his lovely wife Lolita. Smart man. I think there is a metaphor here, the man and his boat navigating through rough waters. Everybody can conjure up a picture of sailing.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?